Scientific Revolution and Age of Enlightenment. The scientific revolution was the emerge of modern science during the early modern period, when development in mathematics, physics, astronomy, biology, including human anatomy, and chemistry transformed societal views about nature. The scientific revolution began in Europe toward the end of Renaissance period and continued to the late 18th century, influencing the intellectual, social movement known as Enlightenment. The scientific revolution was built upon the foundation of ancient Greek learning and science in the Middle Ages, as it had been elaborated and further developed by Roman or Byzantine science and medieval Islamic science. Key scientific ideas dating back to classical antiquity had changed drastically over the years and in many cases been discredited. The change to the medieval idea of science occurred for four reasons. Number 1. 17th century scientists and philosophers collaborated with members of the mathematical and astronomical communities to effect advances in all fields. Number 2. Scientists realized the inadequacy of medieval experimental methods for their work and so felt the need to devise new ways, some of which we use today. Number 3. Academics had access to a legacy of European, Greek, and Middle Eastern scientific philosophy that they could use as a starting point, either by disproving or building on the theorems. Number 4. Institutions. For example, the British Royal Society helped validate science as a field by providing an outlet for scientists' works.
Enlightenment. European intellectual movement of the late 17th and 18th centuries emphasized reason and individualism rather than tradition. It was heavily influenced by the 17th century philosophers such as Descartes, Locke, and Newton, and its exponents include Kant, Goethe, Voltaire, Rousseau, and Adam Smith.
Francis Bacon established the supremacy reason over imagination.
René Descartes and Isaac Newton laid a foundation that allowed science and technology to change the world.
William Godwin, leading radical political philosopher, novelist, and social thinker of the British Enlightenment. He was the author of Political Justice, a founding text of philosophical anarchism, and of the novel Caleb Williams. He was committed to the dissenting belief in the duty of ceaseless inquiry and revisited same preoccupations throughout his writing life.
Jean-Jacques Rousseau, a Francophone Genevan, wrote the Discourse on the moral effects of the arts and science, on the origins of inequality among men, and Rousseau argued, in opposition to the dominant stand of Enlightenment thinkers, that the art and science corrupt human morality.
Giambattista Vico, considered the founder of the philosophy of history. His main work, The New Science, is an examination of social and political institutions in terms of their connections with phases of human development. Abbe de Mably, portrayed as a forerunner of utopian communism and common ownership, and more recently still as a classical republican in the Age of Enlightenment. His successful work, Conversations of Fusaya and Observations in the History of France, he shared with many philosophies the belief that the man claims only natural lights, and that freed from superstition and guided by reason, he is capable of improving life on earth. André Malraux, a French economist and miscellaneous writer, an associate of the philosophers, and contributor of the Encyclopedia. In 1785, he was elected to the Académie Française and preserved its archives during the Terror. His mixtures of 18th century literature and philosophy, containing selections from his previous works, appeared in 1818. His valuable, elegantly written memoir on the 18th century and the Revolution was published in 1821.